There are so many jobs in the world of recruiting, and being a recruiter is not just the only best one. So check out this video right now to find out what other roles you can do. Hey, welcome to the Millionaire Recruiter. I'm Brianna Rooney, your Millionaire Recruiter. If you haven't seen this channel before, it's all about making you the next Millionaire Recruiter. But what I was thinking is, as I am building this new company called Talent Perch, which if you've seen before, you know that I built Techies, which is an amazing contingency recruiting firm that focuses on tech, and it really focused on the Bay Area. I've recently been building Talent Perch, which is essentially the same thing, but a different business model. So what we'll be doing is embedding recruiting team, essentially, inside the client, basically just on demand, 3-month minimum, stuff like that. Now, this video is not about Talent Perch, but the reason why I decided to do it is because I have realized by talking to different clients that want to bring us on, all the different positions really in the recruiting world that still get paid really well, and it can even touch on different people's strengths. Because I hear a lot, people asking me different personality types, will it work out for a recruiter? I tend to say yes. It all really depends on work ethic and how you learn and, how you Google, I think, because a lot of things can just be Googled. But what I thought was interesting is how many needed things clients do want and desire. And so I'll go down that list. So first of all, there are coordinators. Yes, that's just a glorified scheduler in a lot of people's opinions, but there's a lot to that. And this role is actually really important in order to even start the interview process, and not only start the interview process, but to keep it going and to give a good candidate experience. This does heavily rely on coordinators for a couple different reasons. One, to make sure that the candidate is moving at the speed that they want. That's very important. Goes to the candidate experience. Also, if they're making sure that the company is not overworked by interviewing and also doing their job. And so they need to find this happy medium to still get this schedule done, but also to make it for the best of the company and the best of the person that's doing this interview. So there's a lot of moving parts in order to do that. And then also, if you work backwards, which all companies do, or I should say should do, like if you have to fill 10 roles this month, you're going to work backwards and see, okay, how many resumes do we have to look at? What's the conversion rate to that first interview, the second interview, the onsite, then how many onsites convert to offers, how many offers get accepted percentage-wise. So there's all these things that work backwards. Therefore, that's how many interviews at different stages, even the offer stage, presenting, how much a coordinator does have to move and does have to schedule. So that role is very powerful, and it is one that still gets paid really well. Now, as this channel embarked, I was really thinking of just commission recruiters, but this has really morphed into all sorts of things and just making the recruiting industry in general really powerful, and also introducing new positions, new outlets for you as the viewer, so like and subscribe, but you as the viewer that can also learn a lot at different levels. And then, you can either move up, or maybe you really enjoy being a coordinator. But that, I think, is the beginning of really the recruiting industry. And it's something we don't talk about a lot. So then you have what I call a sourcer. I have realized that a lot of companies don't really understand the difference between a sourcer and a recruiter. So essentially, a recruiter is full cycle. So they can source. So sourcing is someone that you have a job description. Here's your job description. And they say, I need this person as much as possible. Let's say I don't need this, but I need that, whatever it is. You go on, let's say LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn advocate. You go on LinkedIn, you do your Boolean searches, you get a few people, hopefully a lot of people, but a few people that could fill this role for you. So you get their resumes, you get their intake, which means you find out more about them, and then now you present them to the hiring manager. Internally, that's pretty much as far as it goes. You're not really taking them throughout the whole process. normally, but sourcers can. And what's cool about sourcing is you have to be very versatile. And so you get to touch different facets of the recruiting process. So sometimes the recruiter is too busy to take the candidate through the whole experience. Sometimes the coordinator is too busy to ask the candidate's schedule. So a sourcer really is kind of just fly. And when you think about it, extremely valuable because as I'm talking to different clients, I have found out that applying or posting a position really almost does the opposite of what it's supposed to do. So a company will probably make an offer, or I should say hire 5 to 12% of people that actually apply. That is incredibly low, especially considering how many applicants come through. I think about how many applicants have come through at Techies that we haven't hired or even spoken to, which is crazy. So that wastes a lot of time. Companies do have bots sometimes looking at that and grabbing keywords, but even then it's just incredibly low and wastes a lot of time. So a sourcer, it has way more success rate. A sourcer probably has about 65 to 80% success rate from the resume or the people that they source that actually gets hired or at least spoken to, think about that. So you can be a sourcer and it's a lot of fun. I actually got to source, Techies was so busy, I got to source for like 2.5 months at the end of last year. And it was just like, it was amazing. And it's really exciting because that really is the process, the start of changing someone's life. That also changes the company's life, the client's life, So think about that. And that you can make really good money as well. And then let's say you're really ready to take full process, and that's when a recruiter comes into play. So the recruiter can't, will source, they can coordinate, but they can also look at the bigger picture and be more strategic about who's actually good for the roles based on what the hiring manager says. Now, the sourcer is also on the floor, thinking about that too, but a recruiter should be able to know even more. Let's just say, we know the hiring manager went to Berkeley. We see the sourcers, 10 people. Well, this one went to Berkeley, actually wait, even the same year. So when you find common denominators with the client, although they do want to focus on diversity and you should, the common denominators do help in getting it going and relating to each other and understanding. So you can still diversify things even with just small common denominators. That really helps. And so a recruiter can get that going. A recruiter should also be able to work backwards and think, or I should say, go in an interview process and be like, wait a minute, this interview process is very poor because XYZ, or because I worked with this client and they did it this way and were really successful. Their numbers were better. Their conversion rates were better. So a recruiter is definitely more strategic than, let's say, a sourcer. Then on the other side of the coin, there's operations. And for me, I would say this is newer as far as like the last 3 years, even with some clients. A lot of clients still don't have operations embedded in their recruiting team. They have operations like on perhaps the HR side of things, but not in their recruiting team. And so I realized as I'm building Talent Perch that really numbers are what's make the world go round. It's so you're not sourcing in the dark. You're not interviewing in the dark. You know exactly what you need to get the job done. Now, people are people, and you're going to just deal with, things that don't make sense number-wise. You just, again, have to roll with the punches. But the operations team is what really sets the scene and says, this is what your data shows, this is what we need. We need to up your numbers, or maybe we need to change something. So the operations person will work with the recruiting team and say, this is what we need to change. How do we change this? They're not recruiters, however, they're on the same team. And that's why I really wanted to do this video, because an operations person, for example, is more like Excel, data, numbers. It's a different type of a mind. One that doesn't exist in mine. But, okay, I'm getting better. But that's the huge difference. So that's why I think it's really cool that the recruiting industry as a whole is very powerful and can take all sorts of people. So again, coordinator, extremely organized, but also a little pushy. Think about it. You have to get things scheduled. You can't take no, you can't, people can't ignore you, basically. So you have to be a little pushier, which is great. Sourcers are what really gets things going. And so you have to be calibrated well in order to find the right people. However, sourcers, again, are just getting messages out. So sourcers are very, very, very quick. The personality, it could leave it or take it or leave it. I don't think you have to be like extra yay, but you do have to relate to people and be able to move things fast and know exactly the Boolean searches. Recruiters are going to take it up a notch, probably be more personable than all of the other positions in the recruiting industry, because they're dealing with a lot of moving parts and a lot of different people. So therefore a lot of different personalities. So recruiters kind of deals with it all, and they can do any of the jobs. Operations, again, we just talked about that, but that's number focused, data focused, charts, working backwards, and again, having to be really organized. So if I have to group the two, I'm going to group the coordinator and the ops. They might be on the ops team, especially. And then the sourcer and the recruiters, they're definitely handling things. And I haven't even begun to talk about all like the higher ups in the recruiting world, which is of course the VP of people, the head of recruiting. There's the D&I, diversity and inclusion. That's all kind of in the same realm. But for this particular video, I want to just keep it to those 4 that I mentioned, because there's a lot of opportunity in the recruiting industry. And I just want to make sure that no matter what your personality or your vibe or your speed and stuff, there's probably room for you to really excel in the industry, and then try it out and then maybe go in different directions. Who knows? But regardless, I think you can all be really successful. So, go ahead and look at profiles on LinkedIn that do these different jobs. Go on Indeed and LinkedIn, Google these particular jobs, look at the job descriptions, see what grabs you, see what you can and cannot do, and just go for it. And make sure your LinkedIn looks like those job descriptions. That really helps. So hope you enjoyed this kind of tangent that I went on. I was supposed to do this other video, but I gotta tell you, as what happened yesterday, I was just like, whoa, actually, I think we need to really talk about not just the millionaire recruiter aspect of things, but all the different things that go in this world of recruiting. So enjoy. I will see you next week. And if you haven't already signed up for the recruiting roundtable, which is this coming Wednesday, I can't believe it's February already. Oh my God. It's Wednesday. It is 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is a lot of fun. It's all the questions. Sometimes I'm inspired like a few days before. You ask your questions, maybe they'll go on tangents there, but it is definitely live. And I think we can all, learn from each other. So hope to see you there. Definitely sign up. The link's there. And do not forget that money is just the vessel that gets you to do all the amazing things you want to go do. So go live your life. Have fun.